Assalamu alaikum. I am Commodore retired SADEED Anwar Malik, Secretary General and CEO of Karachi Council on Foreign Relations. May I very briefly inform the audience today that Mr. Iftikhar Shallwani is an officer of Pakistan Administrative Service in the grade 21, is serving as an administrator Karachi. He was the Commissioner Karachi earlier on. He belongs to Pakistan Administrative Service Group, also known as DMG Group. In 1983, he was schooled in Liaquat University of Medical and Health Sciences, where he got his MBBS degree. He is a doctor by profession. In 2004, he left for London for his master's in regional and urban planning studies and completed his degree in 2005. Apart from English, Urdu, Sindhi, he is a fluent speaker in Spanish language also. May I request our chairman to kindly welcome the plenary speaker.
Welcome, Mr. Shallwani, and we welcome all the other participants, including members of the Board of Governors and other people who have joined us. Karachi is a difficult place, and that is an understatement of its time, because largely it's an unplanned city. And not only an unplanned city, but the various utilities that support Karachi, like electricity, gas, water, transportation, police, etc., which are the basic ingredients of a metropolitan city, are all disconnected to an extent. I realized this when I was chairman Karachi Electric for a year nearly. And of course, I had interaction with Mr. Shallwani, and it was a pleasant interaction, even though the times were not very pleasant. The federal government, along with the Sindh government, has proposed quite a package for the economic uplift of Karachi. And I think if you look at it, entire this thing obviously becomes a complete project which has to be carefully thought out. Mr. Shallwani has got a very good background, but what we require now, him to step up and please define to us. With that, I hand you over to Mr. Shallwani.
Thank you so much, Commodore Saab, and thank you so much all. I have already served for 2 years as Commissioner, and now I have been bestowed with this responsibility of being the administrator. And let me tell you, replacing a politically elected mayor in Karachi is a very difficult task. And from a completely bureaucratic profile to a very, I would say now, a hybrid political assignment that I'm holding. And I'm grateful to the federal government, provincial government, all the stakeholders in Karachi that they finally found in me a consensus candidate to become the administrator of Karachi. As I always say, the Karachi is mini Pakistan. Karachi is a place where there is never a dull moment, where any time, any big event is over, and the next day there is something else that starts. So you can never be complacent, and you can never be relaxed that, oh, I did one thing and now it's over. But we basically face three main issues in Karachi. To start from is, first of all, is the solid waste management, and number two is, of course, water. We all know, and the third and the most important is the public transport. In terms of solid waste, we recently started a cleanliness campaign, but we have all the organizations, especially Solid Waste Management Board with us, all the DMCs, all the municipal commissioners, and of course all the field officers. So by virtue of my previous position, I have the advantage that I can still get all the cooperation and official assistance from all the deputy commissioners, assistant commissioner, for that matter, even the police. I have that advantage, and I'm trying my best that the cleanliness campaign must show some positive results. We all know that out of 6 districts in Karachi, except the 2, which is Korangi and District Central, in all the other 4, which are East, South, and Malik and West. So we have the Solid Waste Management Board working, and we have a contract with 2 Chinese companies. Those are performing that task. But we all know that task is not satisfactory, and we have given them a lot of warnings. But now, with the passage of time, our front end to the landfill site operation, we are just giving it to one contractor, so that one person is responsible. Karachi basically suffers from what I would say fragmentation of authority, fragmentation of power. Unlike Islamabad, you have one chairman CDA. He is responsible for solid waste, he's responsible for planning, he's responsible for water, he's responsible for roads. Everything is with chairman CDA. But unlike like Karachi, we have so many government entities and government departments, starting from, of course, KMC. Then we have Solid Waste Management Board. Then we have Karachi Water Supply. Then we have cantonments. Then we have DHA. Then we have KDA. Then we have Liari Development. Then we have Mali Development. So, now all these powers and all the areas are divided between these various agencies. Now you can imagine that if a garbage or if a water supply doesn't come in one part of the Karachi, and you complain to one entity, and they would say, no, this is not my responsibility, this is KMC's. KMC will say this is KDA. KDA will say this is cantonment. Cantonment would say this is DHA, and so on and so forth. So this fragmentation of power is really the main cause of what we see in Karachi. The same thing, I would say, the water, but I think now the provincial government has already taken up, and with the help of FWO, we are doing the K4, and I would say about 50% of the work has already been done, and now we are in the mode of augmentation with the help of the World Bank, and that is also being pursued, and it is one of the most I would say priority of the federal and the provincial government to get it done. The third, public transport. Yes, that is a big issue, but as you must be seeing that we already have one green line corridor complete from Surjani town up to Numaish, and then we have various BRT corridors undertaken by the federal government and by the various donor agencies like Asian Development Bank, World Bank. It's a red line, orange line, and now the green line is already there. The brown line is also there. So we are trying to integrate all these BRT corridors, but it would take time. Green line corridor infrastructure is complete. We are waiting for the rolling stock, which should be here by June 21, as I've been told by SADCL. The one thing which is closest to my heart, which I'm trying, that to bring the tram line into Karachi, and we had a very generous offer from our very brotherly country, Turkey, and they have committed to us that, but that will be just a phase 1, and it will be like a tourist tram line, but it will be a modern tram line. It won't be that tram line which used to be in Karachi like 50 years ago. It will be a modern tram line like you must have seen, most of you, in Istanbul. So it will run from, we will take it to the best part where most of the tourists come from Metropole, which the first station we are planning, it will be the street library, if you must have seen, which we started during my tenure as commissioner, and it will go through the club road, pass in front of Commissioner Office, Gymkhana, through in the center of the hotels, Movenpick and PC, and then turn right from PIDC towards the Shaheen complex, and then left turn on IA Chundrigar Road up to Tower. So its first station would be the Street Library, and the last station would be Tower. But that is still what I say, a dream. But I think we have started it. We have launched it in a way that we are negotiating with the Turkish government now, and inshallah we'll able to do it within 2 years. Other than that, of course, we have drainage, but drainage and sewerage is covers under the water issue, and that is also we are planning to do. And you must have seen in the recent monsoon that really played havoc with the city. But we have some projects that we are undertaking, because the sewerage line which is existing in Karachi is pre-independence, or the latest could be 1960s. So that is really in a very fragile state, dilapidated, to say it exactly. And we are trying to make an overall scheme so that we don't really build roads on the top of that drainage and sewerage line, because we have seen in monsoon that these lines, they sink in and they take away the road as well. So investing on blacktop roads without making the sewerage and the drainage line would be an exercise in futility. That is also my endeavor, to make Karachi walkable. And then, I mean, you know, any part of the world, I mean, you must have all traveled. The city talks to you. The city tells you about yourself. In Karachi, unfortunately, you don't see the street names, you don't see the boards, you don't see any direction signs. There are few, but not many. So we are trying to make a project which is called Standardization of all the street signs, and those will be placed on every street, every road, and some new names and street signs are also being proposed to be named after international personalities and international destinations. The other things that we have done and we are doing in Karachi is to promote sports, to make it a sports destination. I remember in the last 2 years that we took with my old team was the Karachi Marathon. That after 30 years, it was in 2019 that we organized Karachi Marathon, and it was a big success. I planned it as a local event, but fortunately from local it became a national, and from national it became an international event. And a lot of our guests from many countries, our consulates, our diplomatic members of the diplomatic corps, they all participated, and we did it in January 19, and the second marathon we did in just before the COVID hit us, and that was in February 20. So those were two events, and inshallah ji, I hope 21, if fingers crossed, if everything goes right and we don't have that second wave of COVID, not lethally, let's hope so, and we'll do inshallah ji the third Karachi City Marathon. The other ji with the PSL, when we did the cricket city, you know, we decorated the whole city and we really named Karachi as the cricket city. You must have seen about 2 years ago, we had put these wonderful boards, the wooden boards in Karachi, so that people take ownership of the city. And so we give different titles, and those titles were all were present, like Karachi, the city of lights. You must have seen all the boards all over the city. We have put that big sign on the Clifton Bridge as well. On that also, we really got a lot of appreciation. And I always I have told this on many forums, that when we saw that, I went to watch the opening of PSL. I was invited by the chairman PCB to watch the opening and the ceremony at Dubai. And that was okay. In a stadium, it was so dull, and the Dubai city, I mean, nobody would see. But when all people came to Karachi, They really saw how we had these points of celebration, festivity points, and they were very happy. And there was a big, ambience and a big vibe of celebration. And that was really the cricket city. And it was really appreciated by all our international guests as well. Karachi is open to tourism. It's a wonderful city. If you can compare it to when you see some parts of the world which are worse than your own country, then you really value your country and your city more. The street library. So that was also one of the, I would say, initiative. Then within the space of, I think, 8 to 9 months, you can see we made wonderful, I would say, Pakistan's first street library. People would go and study there for their exams, but it is just to inculcate the importance of books in our lives. So I will move towards the conclusion now. Karachi, that it is a very dynamic city, and we have to keep it clean, we have to keep it tidy, and we have to keep the city presentable through our own initiatives. I think nothing can stop us, and we can really make it Karachi again one of the best cities, if not in the world, at least in the region. Thank you so much, all of you.
Say, I want to ask you about the II Chundrigar Road project. When Governor State Bank Dr. Ishrat Hussain was there, he initiated a project. Karachi Stock Exchange at that time, when I was a managing director, also gave a hand some money, and some banks. I think that money should be lying somewhere because no work was done. You possibly need to put your hand on that money and get that project moving, or use that money for your tram project or anything. It's a substantial money which a number of banks gave at that time. And we don't know what happened because nothing really happened except some wall chalking was removed.
I already told you we have our tram line project which will pass through the II Chundrigar Road and will end at Tower. But about that project, I think we had a meeting about, say, 10 months ago with the Governor of State Bank and all the presidents of all the nationalized banks and the private international banks which are present in Karachi. And we discussed with them about the total, I would say, restoration and repair of all the footpath. But in that, I think the most important issue, II Chundrigar Road, is the parking. So that is the on the cards. I really don't know about that money, about the project, but we were trying to do it through the Chief Minister's grant, which we had sanctioned about the improvement of 10 roads in Karachi. And one of the roads, the II Chundrigar Road.
This is Farooq Afzal. Mr. I would like to ask a question about the traffic management of the city, because if you look at the roads and the islands, you will see that there are so many U-turns that traffic gets, disturbed and, damaged actually. So what are you going to do with this traffic management?
Farooq Saab, that we need one-ways. And you are right, we need to stop these unnecessary U-turns, and we have to get used to going the long way instead of making shortcuts. So we really need to take, and for that we really need a good, traffic police, and the people who are leading the traffic police, that they should be innovative and they should take initiatives. And of course, I agree, a lot of U-turns have to go because they really interrupt the smooth flow of traffic.
There will be one more question also about circular railway.
Circular railway, it's on the card. We have the order of the Supreme Court now, and now we have like two choices in that, whether we restore the old circular railway of 1960s or we make a light rail network, which is the need of the day. But I think a lot of work has already been started by Pakistan Railways and Sindh government on that. And we have already 14 stations ready. And I think the first loop, the first phase of the KCR can be started within few months. And the whole loop, I think it would take some time.
Shallwani साहब, मेरा सवाल ये था कि ये जो फ्रैगमेंटेशन ऑफ पावर के आपने जिक्र किया है, इसके मुतालिक कोई आपकी व्यू में कोई सोल्यूशन है?
The model I already told you, it's not imported. It is already that we have the model of CDA in Islamabad, and on that pattern, I think we have to integrate all these departments, especially for their municipal functions, and then we have different. I would say the federal government, the Karachi itself, like 30% land is owned by the government, cantonment hai, KPT hai, railways hai, then provincial government, then we have the DHA. So this proposal, these municipal functions should be integrated, one chain of command.
For his concluding remarks, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Malik Saab. Mr. Shallwani and all the participants, we've been very lucky to get very candid views from the administrator. And of course, he spelled it out. The fragmentation of command, as Raza Mahdi said, that is the major thing. And frankly speaking, Mr. Shallwani, despite all your optimism, I don't see that happening very quickly. There are vested interests, very vested interest. Everybody wants to keep his powers, right? And unless a draconian measure is given, and long time ago, we said, actually, what Karachi needs is not the word administrator, but a lieutenant governor. You should be designated the lieutenant governor of Karachi so that you have all the powers of a governor to administer the city, right? And that is the major thing. But anyway, we are very grateful to you. We've had a very candid exchange and lucid this thing. And we are hoping that, you get the support necessary both from the federal government and the Sindh government. And more than that, from all the constituent units that you've already spelled out, the DHA, the Clifton Cantonment Board, the various marine development, etc., a myriad number of people. And my one advice to you is that right at the beginning, please pick out one person, ask all these people, particularly the utilities, to have a senior person sitting close to your office, so that when you go, you don't have to pick up the telephone and tell them, you just call this person name and he coordinates for you. That is, that will shorten this thing. Your coordination will get better, right? If you have anything to do with DHA, then DHA should have an officer there, or Clifton Canton Board, or one of them can be there. If Mali Development Authority, one person, Karachi Electric, one person, Karachi Water Board, one person, etc., etc. That way, when they're sitting in your vicinity, you just have to tell them, look, this is the problem. They can bring up their constituent unit and then say, okay, fine, this is the problem, because they would be able to talk rather than you speaking to the KMC head and the KMC head then going down, or the thing, etc. It will just end up in a bureaucratic mess. We wish you the best of luck. We are very grateful to you.
Thank you so much.